what do you make of uh f- it's like a two-part so first of all, what do you
I think everyone in the audience agrees with probably both of us that this is a bad thing.
yes, all around very bad. I
Bullshit.
what do you think of my tinfoil hat conspiracy that the TikTok ban was only jammed in so that's what people would talk about and not the $100 billion that they're sending to Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan. Like TikTok's just a sacrificial lamb.
It's entirely possible. They were talking about it before, so I mean,
Since
it was
Trump.
already
Yeah.
yeah, it was already in the news and stuff. I just think that the aid bill itself is what are these people smoking? We've got what is it, 3 million or so on some odd homeless people in the country, a porous border. We could take care of both of those problems with that $95 billion.
Remember when Trump couldn't get 10 billion for a wall?
Yeah, no, yeah, he was litigated against even by his own House Republicans at the time.
Yeah, and like I love
He had
seeing
to use discretionary spending, and then he got held up in the courts for some months after that. It was insane.
here's what I like as an American. 60 billion. Here's a updated news report just so people want to hear.
Despite the rockets, Ukraine's nightlife is rocking.
Yeah.
The bars and clubs are full. The place is jumping, music pumping, drinks flow freely, and they dance like there's no tomorrow.
That's a war zone.
I thought they were at war, man. What's happening?
That's the casualties of war.
It was funny because when I point this stuff out, a lot of people with Ukraine flags in the bio are like, bro, you just don't understand. Wartime's different. People have to blow off steam. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Dude,
Like,
if there's a wartime blow off steam by blowing somebody's head off and then
yeah,
eating an MRE, that's the whole point.
yeah, I can't imagine like
War should be hell because then hopefully there will be less wars because people realize how terrible they are.
what were you doing during the Great Russian War? Oh man, I was sleeping with so many whores. It was awesome. I was going to the hookah bar every night. These stupid Americans were sending us billions of dollars.
One time I got my stipend from the West. I had like 5 margaritas. I don't remember much the rest of the night, but you know, I'm assuming it was fun.
Yeah, yeah, war is hell, man. That's the whole thing. Like, I get it that I'm being reductive and saying it's not like the money gets dropped off in a helicopter. Most of that money stays right here in the United States and funds our own defense program, our own military industrial complex.
Our defense is bullshit at this point, probably.
Right. I mean,
if it weren't for the militia, we would have already been invaded, probably.
Well, they have I mean, what a coincidence. They just had that factory, although the factory fire was small. I remember talking about last week where there was a factory out east, one of the few places that makes these like really large high millimeter shells, which are important for the Ukraine war. Taiwan had a fire, no big deal. And there's only like 4 or 5 places that produce these things. And I feel like, okay, so we're fighting a proxy war with Russia in Ukraine. Now we're fighting a proxy war with China in Taiwan. We're fighting both sides.
Here's the thing. I support supporting Taiwan. I just wish the way we would do that is tell them adopt a strategy that's sort of similar to the militia in the United States, and then we sell them tens of millions of weapons and hundreds of millions of rounds of ammo.
I agree.
We make money. They're safer. Everyone benefits. We fuck the commies. Who loses?
You give them a Second Amendment. Yeah,
exactly.
Adopt Second Amendment. Arm everybody with an AR-15, and that way, China's not invading.
It's got to be America made, of course.
Yes, right.
Although I will sim for the Austrian Glock products as well.
Glock is solid.
Glock is fine.
Yeah, it's like a Turkish AKs are okay too, but I mean, I don't care who makes them as long as we're selling it to them, and we sell them all the missiles they want to buy. Just like we sell. Israel wants to buy all the missiles they want for their Iron Dome. I don't care about that. That's capitalism.
That's the funny thing. That's the funny thing. We arm Israel to the teeth. and actively encourage the Jewish people there to have, and they do have this to an extent, a militia system.
They have
But
open carry there.
yeah, exactly. You'll see
Yeah.
like some rabbi with an AK-47 and stuff like that, and it's like, wow, that's actually kind of based. But
Yeah.
then we don't do anything to encourage that in a nation that might imminently get invaded by the communist Chinese, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, isn't it a coincidence? Like, when everybody on the street is carrying an AK, you know, yes, Israel has to deal with attacks, but they're like cowardly, like picking, what if everyone at that music festival was armed? You think and they were just picking those paragliders out of the sky? I
Yeah.
think like, how that might have gone differently. But quite frankly, because of the way Israel is armed, like, you can only do terrorism there. You can't confront them directly because you'll lose. Like,
Yeah.
they have superior military. I mean, essentially, now everything with Iran kind of went away. You think that's permanent, or do you think was that just
Yeah, the Iranians and the Israelis both took the exit ramp, which is actually a good thing. It
Good.
shows restraint on both sides. But yeah, you've got a point. I mean, and even more. I mean, imagine that Taiwan were armed, so several million of their civilians had at least small arms and some ammunition and decent training. They're also an island, which means China can't do what Hamas could do to Israel. There's no possibility of a short distance air engagement or a land invasion. You can't do that. You have to use ships or planes.
If you
So
arm
if
them in
you've
that
got-
manner, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so if you've got excellent, and Taiwan does, anti-air defenses, well, then they have to land a bunch of ships and establish a beachhead. Well, it's going to be a lot of fighting from there.
And it's going to be awfully hard when missiles with U.S., United States flags are firing out. Hellfire missiles are firing out of surface-to-air missile SAMs and SAM sites all around. Like,
It'll be like a game of Command and Conquer,
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, even if China could take them over, which maybe they could, it would be extremely heavy casualties. We only need to go back to. I mean, people forget that the United States, despite vastly superior military power, lost in Vietnam. Like,
So did China, though. China lost twice in Vietnam.
Yeah, right. So what
People don't even. Yes, everyone, you must know this. The Chinese attempted twice to invade Vietnam. The first time was in 75, I think.
Okay.
And then sometime later, they attempted to invade. They lost both times. You don't want to fuck with the Vietnamese.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. And like, if Taiwan, late 70s, February 1979,
Yes.
and they lost. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
And
China had
1978.
China had so much more manpower and so much more firepower, but they still managed to lose. Like, God, the French are the only ones that ever managed to subjugate the region, and even then, it was tenuous.
And if you do that, you make that the same scenario in Taiwan, they're never going to have to deal with it, because same thing with Israel. It's very similar to that. It could be better. In America, for some reason, that's frowned upon, though.
Yeah.
Like, we're the one with the Second Amendment, and it's frowned upon.
Yeah. We'll give some random Ukrainian farmer a 30 millimeter.
Yeah, right.
Or a howitzer or something like that. But the Americans, we can only have 10 shots in the locker, and 5.56 is a scary round, so we shouldn't be able to have it.
Yeah, I mean, do you see how big that number is? Like
5.56. Oh my God, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's like bigger than 50 cal, isn't it?
Yeah,
5.56 is bigger than 50.
You can also fire them fully semi-automatic.
I know.
Which is like, yeah,
it shoots 600 magazines a minute. I mean,
yeah.